Namaste and welcome to your practice today. So today we are going to go through a focus and our awareness on all 7 of our chakras. So those of you who have already done the chakra course, this is integrating all 7 of them together into one practice. And those of you who are maybe thinking about learning a little more about the chakras, this class just gives you a really brief little overview into each of them and how we can bring awareness to them in our practices. And in the actual course, each module, each practice, there are 7 in total that focus specifically on one chakra through the whole series. So hopefully you will take part in that as well. It's a fun little way to look at our patterns and our personal growth. So let's get started in our practice right now. So we're actually going to start standing. And we're just going to take a few breaths with a type of breath called Apanavayu, where we inhale and imagine our breath traveling all the way down into our pelvis and all the way down to the base of our pelvis. And then as we exhale, we imagine that breath traveling down our legs all the way into our feet and into the earth. Again, it's called Apanavayu. So let's begin. You can just come into mountain pose, close your eyes, and just inhale. Imagine the breath traveling. You can imagine it as light if that helps you visualize. Coming all the way down, all the way into the pelvis, all the way to the base of the pelvis. And then as you exhale, follow that breath down both your legs, through your feet, and into the earth. Let's continue with 3 more rounds of breath with Apanavayu. Inhaling down into the belly, into the pelvis. And exhaling down the legs, creating roots into the earth, energetic roots. Inhale, draw that breath into the belly, all the way to the pelvis, to the root, the base of the pelvis, the perineum. And then exhale out through your hips, your legs, your thighs, your calves, your feet into the earth. 2 more breaths like that on your own. One more breath. And then open your eyes, and we're going to continue with a little bit more rooting, getting our stability, our strength, and our feeling of being grounded. So we're going to start spreading your feet, your toes wide, and have your feet about hip width apart. And we're just going to move in and out of chair pose. But as we do this, I'll invite you to create this action, this energy, as though you're spreading your feet apart. So it lights up all the muscles through the outer legs and hips. So let's go ahead and inhale, reach up. Let's get our breath moving. And as we exhale, you can bring your hands to your hips and sit down. And create that action of spreading, really light everything up, and then inhale, reach up. And let's continue with this. Exhale, sit down. And again, really spread apart, bring energy into the legs. Keep spreading the legs. This time, as we come down, let's bring our hands maybe to touch the earth and maybe send them out behind us. Inhale, let's rise up. Reach up, and exhale, spread those feet apart, come down, reach up behind you. One more time, inhale. Exhale down. Spread those legs apart, keep spreading, keep spreading, keep spreading. And release your hands down. Just come into mountain pose and just feel, if you feel a little more connected to the earth, a little more grounded perhaps, a little more balanced and more energy into the feet and into the legs. So we're going to flow down into tabletop now. So keep that same energy, and you can apply that Apana Vayu through our practice here as well, especially in the beginning. And start utilizing your Ujjayi breath, which is that restriction in the back of the throat and creates a strong, powerful slowing of the breath. So inhale. Exhale, we bow to the earth. You can bend your knees here slightly. Keep that spreading action happening in your legs. As you inhale, lift your heart halfway. And as we exhale, we're going to step our right foot back. Sorry, I said we were going into tabletop, but I lied. So we're coming into a lunge. I forgot to grab my blocks, but you can have your hands on blocks here to bring the floor up to you so that it's not so hard to reach, especially if you're tight in your hips and you can't bend that front leg as deeply. Or you have shorter arms. I have very long arms. But you can also come to your fingertips here as well. So in this pose, we're getting a little bit into our second chakra. There's a bit of overlap between them. Our first chakra is really the perineum, the legs, the bones, and that connection to earth. The second chakra is a little bit more movement, and it's the pelvis and the hips. And so right here, we're working with hip flexors a little bit. And you can bring a little bit of movement. The second chakra moves into the water element and has a little bit more flow and movement to it. So we're going to work with both chakras here a little bit. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to shift into reverse lunge. You can walk your hands or your blocks back, but lift those front toes, press into that front heel, and imagine growing roots right from the base of your spine, down your legs and into that heel, into the earth. So this is first chakra here again, our grounding, our root, our stability, our foundation. And when we're grounded and rooted, this helps us to let go of fear and anxiety and worry, which can come with an ungrounded first chakra. Take one more inhale here. And as we exhale, come back to the top of your mat in your lunge. And we're going to step that back foot forward to meet our right. Lift the heart halfway, spread those feet apart energetically, and step our left foot back. So we're just going to do the same on our second side. So we get really rooted and grounded before we move on through our practice and through our chakras. So again, we're opening that hip flexor, related to our second chakra, grounded through that front foot. And then if you want to bring some little bit of flow, some mobility, some movement, which is second chakra, water, flow, you can rock back and forth. And then we're going to get back to our first chakra as we move, exhale into reverse lunge, and press into that heel as we lift those right toes. Breathe as we draw those roots all the way down that leg into the earth. Take one more breath. And then let's ride the breath back to the top of our mat to our lunge position. And we're going to step back, downward facing dog. So again, let's come back to our root, our foundation of grounding through all 10 fingers, especially that thumb and index finger. You can have your knees bent here, and lifting the tail, the root up to the sky, as we bring awareness to both hands and both feet to the four corners. Very stable pose. Take one more breath. And let's drop the knees down, come into tabletop. It's been really cold in here, but it's starting to warm up. So let's just get into our hips a little bit, starting with grounding through our hands, grounding through the knees and the shins connected to earth. But let's find some movement and some flow. So let's begin to move from side to side, maybe creating some figure eights. Maybe you just feel like moving into some traditional cat-cow. And just finding all those kinks, tight spots, restrictions in your body. And just move with whatever organic movement feels right for you. Maybe making some circles as we get into the side hips and going the other way. And then we're going to, keeping that right knee bent, just lift that leg out and we're going to make circles as though we're going to, as though we're making circles with our knee. Like we had a big marker on our knee. We're making a circle. So this is activating that second chakra, that idea of creativity, of flow, the water element. And let's go ahead and turn that circle the opposite direction. So physically, we're lubricating that hip joint. Energetically, we're working with that second chakra, activating it. This is our pleasure, our sexuality, and allowing ourselves to move with the ebb and flow of life, change and movement. So let's come into our second side, but before we do, just take a moment in stillness and notice how that right hip feels compared to the left. And then let's go ahead and move into left. Start making those circles as though you're drawing with your knee. It's a big marker attached to your knee. You could also do this, what we're doing in down dog, but I thought since we're right at the beginning of class, we would do it in tabletop, a little more inclusive for everybody. Go the opposite direction if you haven't already. Notice if one side feels a little different than the other. And then let's come into tabletop and just notice that energy that you feel in the hip joints. Maybe you want to come back to a little more fluid movement here. Now that we've gotten that energy flowing. And then let's curl our toes under and find downward facing dog. So in our down dog, in our root chakra class, we try to find stillness and stability and strength. In our sacral chakra, we begin to bring a little more movement and flow, maybe bending one knee and then the other, walking our dog out, turning our toes to the right and getting into the side body here, and then turning them to the left, getting into the other side body, into the hips. Coming back to center, let's inhale and roll like a wave with this water element into our plank pose. And then on our way back to down dog, we'll lift up, lift the hips high, lift the toes high, and land back in downward facing dog. Let's create this wave 2 more times. Inhale, high up on your toes, lift, roll forward into a wave of plank. And roll your wave back, landing in downward facing dog. Last wave forward into plank. And we're working a little bit with our third chakra, our solar plexus here in our plank pose as well, lighting up the fire in the belly, just warming it up, activating. You can drop your knees to lower all the way down to the mat, or you might lower through chaturanga if that's in your wheelhouse and your body is ready for that. Or you can also just lower one knee and have that little bit of support as you lower down to your mat as you're working on building strength. Uncurl the toes. Let's bring our hands wide onto our fingertips. Elbows are bent. We're going to roll like a wave into a cobra, a wide cobra. So roll up, let your head come up last. And exhale, let your head come down last. 2 more times like that. Inhale, roll up. Exhale, just like a wave, rising and falling. 1 more time. And come on down. Hands come under your shoulders. Let's press up and back into child's pose. And you can bring your hands alongside your shins if you wish, or stay in extended child's pose. And you can rock a little bit from side to side, getting into those hips. I just did a long snowshoe right before this class, so my hips are tight. So the movement feels good. And then let's rise up, find our way into downward facing dog. Take an inhale here. As we exhale, you can step, walk, or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift the heart. Let's exhale and fold forward. Feet can be wide here, knees can be bent, and let your arms be like seaweed in the ocean. Just swaying from side to side, and notice sensations in the hips, in the sacrum, as we bring a little fluid movement, and then come to center. Let's inhale, lift halfway again. Exhale, bow, bend your knees. Let's sweep wide and rise high. Come into your mountain pose. So from here, we're going to bring our focus continuing up the chakra system. We've grounded through the feet and legs from our base, our root chakra. We brought some fluidity, trying to release rigidity, coming into our creative flow of our second chakra. And now we're going to come into the flow, or the fire of the solar plexus. So this is our navel center. This is our powerhouse, our metabolism, our ability to transform. So let's move through some sun salutations, which is the perfect way to light up this fire, that our own sun that we have. And so as we move through, see if you can visualize an ember of a flame right behind your navel center. And as we move through, we begin to ignite and grow that flame. So let's inhale, bring breath in to fan that flame as we reach up. And exhale, we bow. The navel center draws in as we exhale and bow. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, stepping back into plank pose. Now we're going to do some Kapati Bali breath in our plank. So if full plank is hard for you to hold, drop your knees, or you can drop one knee and then the other knee as we move through this practice, giving yourself some support, but still building more strength. So if you remember Kapati Bali, if you need to drop your knees, if you've forgotten what Kapati Bali is or not, haven't done it before, it's the forced exhale where we snap the lower belly in, force the air out, and then a passive inhale. And this clears the lungs and activates our solar plexus, our digestion. So take an inhale here, lift it through the shoulders, and begin at your own pace. And take one more inhale, exhale back, downward facing dog. The next inhale breath, we're going to come forward to plank and lower down. You can lower chaturanga, you can lower knees, chin, chest, or use one knee at a time, opposite knee that you did last time, if you chose that option. And let's come into cobra by releasing the hands beside you. So palms facing the thighs. As we inhale, we lift the heart, lift the hands, maybe lift the legs. So now we're working not just with our belly, but our whole torso, this whole area of our core, which is part of our solar plexus, strengthening those back muscles, and at the same time, with belly down on the earth, balancing the fire within. Take one more breath here. And release down. Hands under your shoulders, press up and back, either straight to down dog or come into child's pose to release your back. And then we'll all find our way into downward facing dog. Take a nice breath here. Notice as you exhale how the navel center moves towards the spine. Inhaling to make space, and exhale, draw the belly in. So we're activating that third chakra here. And then on our next inhale breath, let's raise the right leg up to the sky in three-legged dog.
And as we exhale, draw that knee towards the nose and rise high up on your toes. Press the floor away from you. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, draw it in. Navel center draws in. 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. And then we're going to step that foot up between our hands and come into runner's lunge. So reaching the hands out behind, strong through the legs, we're grounded through the legs, we're strengthening through the hips, and then we circle the arms wide, rise up into crescent moon. Again, we're in those hip flexors, but we're also going to work with the belly here. Let's flip the palms, fingers intertwined. Reach up, maybe you even look up. And then bringing the hands down through heart center, we're going to twist to our right, and I'm sorry I'm facing the wrong way here, but you can either bring forearm to that front knee and right hand to the hip, or palms together and catch that elbow on that knee. And this twist, with each exhale, the belly draws in. And so again, we're activating that third chakra in our twists. As we work with the belly draws in on the exhale and spins up towards the ceiling. Take 1 more breath. And we release the hands down on an exhale. Step back, downward facing dog. Let's move straight into our second side. With an inhale, float left leg up to the sky, 3-legged dog. Rise high up on your toes. And then exhale, draw knee to nose, rise up high, lift high, thigh to the belly. Inhale, 2 more times. Exhale, thigh to the belly, knee to the nose, press the mat away. Inhale. You should start to feel a little bit of action in that third chakra, your belly center. And then we step that foot up between the hands. Coming into runner's lunge first, so hands reach out behind you. Strengthen the foundation of your legs. Opening and strengthening in the hips of our second chakra. And then we rise up. We shine our light out of our belly. Intertwine your fingers, press your palms up to the sky. Find your breath here. Your ujjayi breath, which fans that flame for us. And then hands come through heart center. We're twisting to our left. Same options. You can just slide that elbow to the knee or bring forearm to the knee and hand to the hip. The action of the belly is the same. Every exhale, belly draws in and twists to the left, twists up towards the ceiling. You can look straight ahead. You can look to your foot to help you maintain balance, or you can look up to the sky. Take 1 more breath here. Bring awareness to that belly center. And then release the hands down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Some of you are going to want to come into child's pose here. Some of you are going to take a flow and move through a vinyasa of cobra or upward facing dog. Some of you might want to take a little break in downward facing dog. Either way, we will all meet in downward facing dog. And making our choices wisely as to what our body needs. From our downward facing dog, take an inhale. As we exhale, step, walk, or float to the top of the mat. Inhale to lift your heart. Exhale, navel draws in as we bow. Bend your knees, circle wide, rise high. Look to the sky and draw into your heart center. Take a breath or two before we move into our next segment of standing poses. Finding your breath, finding your ground, maybe swaying from side to side and finding some fluidity. With your ujjayi breath, every exhale, the navel center draws towards the spine. And then let's inhale, reach to the sky.
As we exhale, we fold. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, we're going to step the right foot back and pivot that foot down for Warrior Two. So before we rise up in our Warrior Two, I'm going to invite you to reach your right hand straight ahead, your left hand straight behind you. Bring awareness into your ground, your foundation of your feet, and then we're going to rotate up into our Warrior Two. Adjusting your feet if you need to. So in our Warrior Two, I'll invite you to bring your awareness from each fingertip in the line of energy that runs right through the center of your heart, as we're going to begin to move into some heart opening poses. So on our next inhale, flip your left palm. Let's move into reverse warrior. So we begin to make space between the ribs, making space for breath and allowing some mobility from some of our back bends for our heart chakra. Take another inhale here. Exhale into side angle, forearm to the knee, back arm over, creating a line of energy again from heel to fingertips. And then rotate open, look up to the ceiling. Every exhale, navel center moves towards the spine and spins up towards the ceiling. And we create space in our side body, again, making space for breath. Let's inhale, come up. Let's turn toes to the long side of our mat. If you're able, we're going to intertwine fingers behind our back. If not, you can press fist into one another to activate the arms. And we're going to lift the heart, either variation that you're doing as you inhale, and as we exhale, we fold forward. So we're opening the heart, we're grounding through the legs, we're creating some opening in the inner thighs, some strength in the outer hips, freeing the head towards the earth. Take one more breath here. And then we inhale, come all the way up. Release your hands, just take a moment's pause here. Find your breath, notice, take a moment for awareness of the movement of energy we create through our poses. And then we're going to bring our heels in just a little bit so our toes are pointing out about 45 degrees. Inhale, reach up to the sky. As we exhale, we sit down into goddess pose or fiery angel. So with our arms like cactus arms, we're going to bring some movement into the thoracic part of our chest and back. So if you think about cat-cow, we take an inhale, drawing the elbows back, maybe looking up like we're in a cat pose or a cow pose. And then as we exhale, curl into your cat pose and drop your chin and bring your forearms together. So we're going to move in and out of this. Inhale, open, a little back bend. We invite, exhale, curl it into a cat. Inhale, open, and exhale. Drop the chin, curl the back out. One more time. Inhale, open, and exhale. And then let's rise up, release the hands. Bring your hands up, again about 45-degree angle into 5-point star. And think about all that energy that we're moving through our body and creating with our prana, moving, converging at the heart center and spreading out through both hands and both feet and through the top of your head. Take one more breath. And release your hands down. Turn your toes to the top of your mat. And let's bring the hands down and step back into downward facing dog. Same options that I always give. You can stay in down dog, take child's pose, or take a flow. Coming forward to plank, activating that third chakra.
Lowering down, knees, chin, chest, or chaturanga. And then choosing a back bend. So you might come into your cobra, you might lift up into upward facing dog, but either way, we're all gonna meet, just about off my mat, in downward facing dog. Let's take an inhale in your down dog, grounding through the feet, lifting the pelvis up off the waist. The exhale, the belly draws towards the spine, and we step, walk, or float to the top of our mat. Inhale, lift that heart, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, bend your knees, bow, circle wide, rise high, draw into your heart center. So let's move to our second side here. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bow. Inhale, lift the heart. The exhale, we step left foot back and pivot down for warrior two. Before we rise up, let's reach that right arm forward. The left arm left arm is forward, right arm is out behind you. And then we rise up, spin the arms, come up into our warrior two. So pressing down into our foundation, our stability, feeling an opening as we actively press in through the legs and the pelvis. Bring that awareness of the energy from fingertip to fingertip, right through the heart center. Each exhale, the navel center draws in. Next inhale, let's move into peaceful warrior, flipping that right palm and making space in those side ribs for the breath. The breath, the air element of the heart chakra. And that air flames or fans the flame of our solar plexus, our fire element, grounded with the heaviness of the water and the earth element below. On our exhale, moving into side angle, forearm to the knee or fingertips to a block or to the floor. Left arm reaches over, looking up to the ceiling, opening up, rolling the belly up to the ceiling on every exhale, and really stretching through that top arm, all the way from the outer heel through the hip and up through the fingertips. Take one more breath, and then we inhale to rise up. Turn both toes to the long side of your mat. Take another moment to just come into present moment awareness. Notice the flow of energy and the flow of your breath. Take one more breath here. And then I'll invite you to either bring hands to your hips or send your arms straight out to the side. Take an inhale, we're folding forward on the exhale. And as we come to meet the earth, release your hands to the earth. Plant your left hand down on a block or on your mat or the floor. Straighten that arm so it's like we're doing a halfway lift so that your torso comes parallel to the floor. And as we inhale, we're going to twist to our right. So your right hand might be on your hip, or you might reach it up to the sky. You might even look up to the sky. And again, we're opening through the heart center. And think about that line of energy from your top fingertips down through the center of your palm on the floor or on your block, cutting right through the heart center. Release that hand down. Plant your right hand on the mat, the floor, or your block. And let's inhale. Left hand rises up. Maybe you look up. Maybe you keep that left hand on your hip. But every exhale, navel center draws in and twists towards the left. And bring your awareness to the line of energy from top fingertips through the heart center down to that bottom hand. Take one more inhale. Exhale, release both hands down. Take an inhale to a halfway lift here. Exhale, fold. Let the crown of your head drop towards the earth. Bring awareness into your feet. You can even bring your hands to your feet. You can even bring your hands to the back of your thighs and give yourself a little self-massage right from your butt cheeks all the way down your hamstrings, your calves, and grounding into your feet. Your hands in front of you again, halfway lift, so that your torso is parallel to the floor. Bring your hands to your hips here. And on your next inhale, come all the way up. Let's turn our toes to the top of our mat. Bring the hands down. And step back, downward facing dog. And we're all going to come down to our bellies. So if you want to move through chaturanga, half plank, one knee, or knees, chin, chest, go ahead and find your way down now. And then bring your hands to intertwine above your bum. And if that doesn't work, just bring the back of your hands to your sacrum. Inhale, lengthen through the legs and draw the knuckles towards the back of your knees as you open the heart and lift the heart. Lengthening so much that maybe your feet and legs float up off the floor. So we're grounded here through our pelvis. We're activating the legs, our strength, our first chakra. And we're balancing our solar plexus and opening the heart. Take one more breath here. And then let's release down. Stack your hands. Let's breathe into the belly. And then let's bring hands under the shoulders, press up and back, child's pose. Now I'm going to give you an option here to bring your palms together in your child's pose, bend at the elbows and point your fingers up to the ceiling. So this brings a little bit more opening into the triceps and the lats and the shoulders, because we're about to move into the throat chakra. And then release the hands down. Staying on our knees, we're going to play a little bit with camel pose. So camel pose is really great for opening the heart center. It's actually really great for all of the chakras. As we ground through our shins, our feet, our knees, we need some opening through our hip flexors, which is our second chakra, and we need containment of our third chakra, our fire element here, as we open the heart and open the throat. So we're going to start with a little exercise to prepare for camel pose. So lengthening the spine, we reach up to the sky. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. As we exhale, we come into child's pose with the back of our hands coming to the back of the pelvis. 2 more times. We inhale. We rise up, we reach up, working at lengthening the spine and making space. Exhale, we release and we come down, bringing the forehead, our third eye chakra, to the earth. Inhale, reach up. This time we're going to stay upright. Look up, and then release your hands to the sacrum. You can curl your toes under or keep them flat if you wish. So as we prepare to move into camel pose, I want you to think about containment in this third chakra, allowing the front hip flexors to open as you ground through your legs. And then lifting up through the spine, lifting up, lifting the heart. We're going to keep our chin kind of parallel to the floor. Some of you might reach back to your heels, some of you might reach to blocks, and some of you are going to keep hands to the sacrum. So choose your variation. But keep lifting from the center of your heart, and then let the chin be the last thing to lift as we open the throat center here. So we're basically working with all the chakras here in camel pose with a big focus on the heart and the throat chakra.
One more breath. And then using our core muscles, we come back upright. Take a moment's pause here. Feel that flow of energy moving through the body. Take nice breaths. And then we're going to sink down into child's pose. And you can bring your hands, your arms alongside your shins if you wish to let the back round after your back bend. Let's take 3 breaths here. Breathing into the back body. And then come up to tabletop. Let's just do a couple rounds of cat-cow. Just releasing any tension that you might have created through the spine, through the sacrum, in your camel pose. Each pose affects each of us a little differently. Cat-cow is always nice transition between poses, no matter what you might experience in your body. And now we're going to bring a little more vibration into the throat chakra, which is the element of sound. And so we're actually going to use our voice in mantra with Om. So we're going to come into child's pose. And then as we inhale, we're going to come up into cow pose. Take a nice deep inhale, and on this exhale, we'll Om our way into child's pose. Om. 2 more times like that. The inhale into cow. Exhale, Om into child's pose. Om. And last one, feel that vibration. Om. And then bring your forehead down to the earth, to your mat. And just sit with that vibration in your body. Our bodies are resonating chambers of sound. See if you can tune into that vibration. From our child's pose, where our third eye center is resting on the mat, release your hands back to your heels or your ankles or whatever you can reach, and we're going to move into rabbit pose. So from our forehead, as we lift our hips up, we roll onto the crown of our head. So we're really bringing energy into both the third eye chakra on the forehead as well as the crown, the top of our head here. And with rabbit pose with our eyes closed, it's really about bringing our awareness to our inner landscape, which is the upper chakras, where we're looking inside into our subconscious and consciousness itself. So you can now release back into child's pose and take a couple breaths there. Some of you might want to come into either full headstand, if that's in your wheelhouse, or into teddy bear. Or you can stay in child's pose. You don't have to do either one of those poses. But you can also come into a variation or a kind of a prep pose for headstand if you don't want to do full headstand or teddy bear, by just coming into dolphin, coming onto the elbows and bringing more energy and blood flow into the head for both third eye chakra and our crown chakra. Those of you who might want to try teddy bear, I'll demonstrate that right now. And we move into teddy bear from rabbit pose as we come to the crown of our head, releasing the hands kind of just by the knees, so that your head and your 2 hands form a triangle. And then lifting the knees up, bringing the knees to the elbows, and then you can play with lifting your feet. So it's like a little headstand, but you don't have all the weight of your body on the head. And any of those variations that you've taken, I offered you 3 different variations. Come into child's pose to let the equilibrium of the blood flow come back into harmony before you get up so you don't get dizzy. Whenever you feel ready to transition over any of those variations that we just did or that I offered you, we'll come up into a seat and we're going to lie down on our mat for bridge pose. So again, bridge pose encompasses really all of the chakras depending where we bring our awareness. So with knees bent, we take a moment to feel our feet grounding down into the earth as though we're pressing our feet down into soft clay. And as we inhale, we begin to lift our hips, our second chakra, up to the sky. And we're also working with our third chakra here as it moves up to the sky. Rolling the shoulders under, we've got a back bend happening, so the heart is open. The throat, we have a bit of constriction here on the throat. So we're almost like we're massaging the thyroid, which relates to the throat chakra. And when we come out of bridge shortly, it releases a flow of blood into the throat chakra area. And you'll also notice our hips are higher than both our heart and the head, so it's bringing more energy up into the upper chakras, including the third eye and the crown, because this is a little inversion as well. Take one more breath here, and then we'll very slowly lower all the way down. And just take a moment's pause and notice the energy flow. Feel the blood flow through the throat center. Feel more energy in the head and openness in the heart center. Letting your pelvis ground down to the earth. Your feet are ground. And we can begin to just take a few breaths of stillness here. Beginning to slow our breath. And then we're going to move into some little twists just to release. Letting the knees drop over to the right side as we look left. And being very open through the throat, through the heart. Belly twisting to the left. Getting some release in the hips. And then coming back to center, and we'll do the same to the second side. And close your eyes here and begin to bring your awareness into your inner landscape once again. And coming back to center. And drawing both knees in, giving yourself a hug as we've moved through all the chakras here in our practice with our awareness and our focus. And just before we go into Shavasana, let's just lift the soles of the feet to the sky. And let's just reverse the effects of gravity. And take a few breaths here. And when you feel ready, let's move into Shavasana, where I'm going to talk you through a chakra meditation. Taking the first while to just allow yourself to settle into your Shavasana. Letting your feet be wide, your arms away from the side body. letting the eyes close if that is comfortable for you. And just notice energy moving through your body. That might be in the form of tingling or warmth or some sort of sensation. As you've opened the flow of energy and released blockages so that energy can flow freely as it's meant to be. Bringing your awareness to the earth plane beneath you, feeling grounded. An awareness of the air on your skin, on your front body. And allowing yourself to just be. So I'm going to suggest that you all stay in Shavasana right now. You do have the option to move into a seat if you prefer to do your stillness seated rather than lying down. But as you lie here, bring your awareness to the very base of your spine. To the very base of the torso, the area of the perineum. And see if you can visualize a rich, red, molten color of warmth and light right at the very base. And this rich, red, molten color spreads down your legs and into your feet, filling you with healing light, healing energy. Allowing you to feel safe, allowing you to feel stable, allowing you to feel firm in your foundation of your life. And then bringing your awareness to the bowl of your pelvis. And imagine a brilliant orange liquid here in the base, the bowl of the pelvis, filling you with pleasure, with light, creativity, and the ability to move with the ebb and flow of life and deal with changes as they come. Moving to the navel center, begin to imagine a glowing ember here. And as you inhale, that ember turns into a small flame, warming you with its golden yellow light of fire. And as you exhale, that warming yellow light spreads throughout the body, filling you with energy, vitality, confidence. And then from here, we move the yellow light up into the heart center, where it turns into a beautiful healing green, the green of nature, of fresh leaves in spring. And each breath, the green intensifies, and spreads its healing light throughout your body, where you find unconditional love, kindness, and compassion for yourself as well as others. And we follow this light up into the throat center, where it becomes the beautiful blue turquoise of brilliant sky on a sunny day. This blue light heals your throat center and allows you to speak your truth, to speak your desires, and to share your gifts with the world through your creativity, through your voice. And then we move up into the head, where we find a deep, rich indigo, the indigo of twilight, the indigo as light moves into darkness, and we bring our awareness into our inner landscape, our inner knowing, that inner wisdom of intuition, of knowing. And then we bring our awareness to the very top of our crown of our head. And visualize either a white light or a violet light here that reaches its tendrils out into the universe, connecting us with the universal consciousness and wisdom. And that energy, universal energy. We draw this energy down all the way to our heart center. And we draw energy up through our legs and feet and pelvis and torso, from the earth into the heart center, where these two energies mix and commingle, providing us with wisdom and creativity and love, and our confidence and creativity and flow and stability, where we become whole and feel ourselves filled with a beautiful white light, filling our entire body here. Encompassing all of the elements and all of the energies into wholeness, completeness, and healing. Let yourself bathe in this white light for just a few minutes more. And perhaps you stay here now a little longer before you take this feeling of peace and calm out into your day whenever you feel moved to do so. Namaste. Have an amazing day.